If you couldn't get the job done with my back turned, there's no way I'll get it done with me staring you in the eyes.
I'm getting back on my bad. I want a regime change.
Tommy's a psychopath. I have one more part to play.
Now, last week around this time, they did release a new teaser that was focused on where we are with the female players in this final season of Force. And I do think I'm going to continue with that theme to wrap up with each week, because then we would have touched base with every single character. We've already been through characters like Stacey Marks. She came into the triangle between Tommy and Vic Flynn. Same with Maria. We've already spoken about Maria Garcia when it came to the triangle between Tommy, Maria, and Miguel Garcia. But we still have Claudia Flynn, who definitely will be causing a lot of trouble going forward. We saw the White Devil in Claudia in episode 3, she definitely is still a big problem, especially when she is released. Another problem is Shanti Showstopper. She wasn't in episode 3, but I do expect her to start making her moves from episode 4 onwards. There are also a couple of scenes that we've seen with Shanti in previous teasers and trailers, so I do assume those are coming up in the next 2 or 3 episodes. We also have Elise and Giana in the orbit of our main players, so we will be touching base with where we are with those two storylines as well. So that's the topic of today. We're going to be continuing the theme of the female players in the world of Force and where we are with them on the chessboard on Power Book 4 Force Season 3. Now let's start with Claudia Flynn, the White Devil. We know she managed to survive the hit at the end of Season 2, she survived just about, and she does carry on surviving. Even though in jail she's come up against some very tough situations, she keeps on surviving and finding ways to overcome these sorts of obstacles. It's like she's a cat who has 9 lives. Eventually I do think her lives will run out. There is no way a character like Claudia Flynn survives in the long term. You go back to something Courtney Kemp once said in her Instagram Q&As, which was, when they write a character's death, they ask the question, has that character earned their death? Now you look at Claudia Flynn and you can probably come up with a number of situations and reasons why she's on borrowed time. Plenty of betrayals, snake behavior, snitch behavior, betraying Walter Flynn, Uncle Paulie and Vic in Season 2, but the big one? Killing Liliana in Season 1. Tommy made her that promise back in Season 2 that he will kill her, and that's something they just simply have to get round to before the end of this final season of Force. Just for Liliana alone, Claudia has to go. But at this moment in time, she's in jail, she had the Marquez cartel remove her protection, although thanks to Elise, who's very wealthy, she put some bread in her account, which meant she was able to buy some protection. And that was showing money buying power. Sometimes in the world of power, information is power, sometimes leverage is power, sometimes muscle is power, but in this instance, money was power. Now with Claudia, I don't actually expect her to be in jail for that much longer. We've already seen the teasers and trailers of Claudia being released. I think that's probably something where we were all expecting at some point anyway, so that definitely isn't a surprise. But the question I have going forward is, how does she rise to power, or what's her move when she is released? We know she definitely has a way with words. She's manipulative, she can talk her way into alliances and coalitions. I do think there was also some emotional manipulation involved with Elise as well. We've seen her do it before and I wouldn't be surprised to see her do it again. And when she is released, I do expect her to come face to face with Tommy once again. Lily Simmons did do an interview with Big Gold Bell Media, and it was mentioned when they come face to face. They have this moment where Tommy tells Claudia she's the baddest Flynn. Even though there is a lot of hatred between them, it sounds as if there is still a lot of respect between the two. So I will link that interview down below in the description section, definitely is worth a watch. But definitely intrigued to see where they take Claudia Flynn next, especially when she is released. Now just before we move on, I did have a thought and a bit of a theory that I just wanted to run through. Gary Lennon mentioned when it comes to Vic's character, there are a lot of ways for him to avoid his destiny. I mentioned before Season 3 you could see him being a bit of a wild card, but now that we're getting into Season 3 and into these plot points and storylines, you can also probably argue that Claudia Flynn is even more of a wild card than he is. But having said that, if Vic Flynn is to get out from the 2 boots that he has on his neck, one from Stacey Marks and the other from Tommy Egan, what if he was the one who got rid of Claudia for Tommy? We've seen him kill his father Walter Flynn already back in Season 2, so I personally don't think he's going to have any problems in killing Claudia. And frankly, I do think she deserves it for what she did in Season 2. So, do you guys think Tommy would let go of that chain that he has around Vic Flynn's neck if he does kill Claudia for Tommy? Because there very well may be a situation where Claudia may actually become untouchable when she is released. Tommy's going to be approaching the moment where he is going to become a lone wolf. He may not have the same pull or power to go up against Claudia. I always say power does shift from player to player during a season of Power. And there may actually come a moment where it looks like Claudia Flynn has control over the chessboard. But the only person that may be able to get close enough to Claudia Flynn in that moment to potentially kill Claudia could be Vic Flynn. So again, question is, Do you guys think Tommy would let go of the chain around Vic Flynn's neck if he did kill Claudia for Tommy? I'm gonna leave you guys with that question as we move over to Claudia's girlfriend, Elise.
Tommy's a fucking psychopath.
I have one more card to play.
Now, we don't know what Claudia has up her sleeve in episode 4, and I'm probably not even going to try and predict. I'm sure we'll probably find out in episode 4 or maybe in episode 5. But with Elise, she just simply isn't built for this world at all. Claudia put her in a very difficult position working for a character like Shanti, getting closer to the CBI, who we know is the complete opposite. She's tough as nails. She's a former boxing champ. She can hold her own in this world. She's crafty and strong. But Elise is the complete opposite. And I think we're probably approaching that moment where she comes face to face with Tommy as well. She's going to tell Claudia that Tommy is a psychopath, which I actually disagree with. I think because we've known Tommy as a character for over 10 years, he is more of a sociopath compared to a psychopath. The thing is, Elise doesn't know Tommy like we know Tommy. She's just going to see one ruthless side, whereas we've seen the emotion, the pain, we know what he's been through, we know from history it would have been the environment and upbringing that played a role in who he became. That's something they'll definitely no doubt explore more in Power Origins. For Elise, she's just going to see that one side. But for her character going forward, we know she isn't built for this world. And I do think if they're really going to hurt Claudia Flynn going forward, then this is definitely one way to hurt her character in more ways than one. She's not just Claudia's girlfriend, she's a very valuable resource because she has money. You take that away from Claudia, where does that leave her? Earlier on I mentioned money is power for Claudia, it's allowed her to buy some protection in jail, money can maybe buy her way into maneuvering in the streets with coalitions, but if she loses her girlfriend Elise, she loses that money as well. So I do think Elise will remain on my death predictions going forward. But let's move over to Shanti Showstopper page.
I'm getting back on my bad bitch shit. I want a regime change.
Now with Shanti, Gary Lennon mentioned that she's there to service herself. She's smart. When one person makes a move, she'll have a counter move that will be just as brutal and surprising. He also mentioned Tommy does respect Shanti is able to hold her own, he likes being around that part of the game, but she definitely doesn't step into the shoes of Liliana by any stretch. Now, I previously said I'd be very disappointed in a character like Tommy if he didn't see Shanti for who she was, and see that she's someone who can't be trusted. At the same time, we have to remember what Tommy's going through himself, and probably will be going through in these next few episodes. He's being pulled in all sorts of directions at this moment in time. Diamond is making moves behind his back, his coalition is becoming weaker, there's Miguel Garcia who wants him dead, D-Mac is creating chaos in the streets that Tommy will no doubt have to clean up, he's gonna have to have one eye constantly on D-Mac, the same with Maria. I still expect JP's death to really hit Tommy hard when and if that happens, and that probably will coincide with the moment or episode where he's probably kicked out from the CBI or where he decides to walk away from the CBI. And on top of that, you then have Shanti making moves in the background. So you can kind of forgive Tommy if he doesn't see the betrayal coming because he's dealing with all these 1,000,001 different things. Now, I previously likened it to the situation between Ghost and Milan. Ghost was so occupied dealing with Felipe Lobos, he neglected a lot of other things like his relationships with Tariq, but also didn't see Milan was right under his nose the entire time. So you just imagine, if it can happen to even the best in a character like Ghost back in power, then it can certainly happen to someone like Tommy in Force, which I do think will show the human aspect of Tommy as well. I've long said that in season 1 of Force, Tommy was basically a Superman who could do no wrong. But since Gary Lennon came in, there are those signs of vulnerability beginning to show. There's those mistakes that we saw in Power. He's behaving more like Ghost and treating Diamond like more of his number 2, which is causing tension at the top of the hierarchy within the CBI. Tommy definitely is a lot more street smart and a lot more strategic, don't get it twisted. That side to his character has definitely improved a lot more since OG Power. But that vulnerability will still be there when you have those people pulling you in different directions. So the question now then becomes, can Shanti take advantage when Tommy's at his weakest or at his lowest point later on this season? Which again, will probably be when Tommy most likely loses JP and also when he's kicked out from the CBI or decides to walk away from the CBI where he then becomes a lone wolf. But same as Claudia, I do think Shanti is a very strong character, but a character that also probably does need to get what's coming to her. And with this one, I probably do think it will be Janard who ends up taking her out. He definitely isn't on board with the plan of killing Diamond, and when she realizes that he's changed his mind, that relationship definitely will change. I do think there's going to be an episode and maybe a theme where everybody's relationship changes. There's a scene where we see Shanti with a baseball bat hitting Janard's car. That's something we still haven't seen yet. That's still to come. But the relationships, Shanti and Janard, Ray and Vic Flynn, Tommy and Maria, There's a lot that will definitely change and needs to be revealed when it comes to those relationships, for the good and also for the bad. But come the end, Shanti definitely needs to be out of here, because there is no way Janard picks her over Diamond. When they've been teasing, blood is thicker than water. Now, speaking of Diamond, we did see another player return in episode 3 who was Giana. She needed some time to come to terms with what happened to Leon, and also being in an abusive relationship with Jamal. She returned after she had some time to heal and also wanted to give it another go with Diamond. But I do think Diamond did the right thing here. He probably believes that maybe a little bit of his involvement in Leon's life got him killed. And I do think he did the right thing, because you have Joseph Sikora speaking about how he needs to protect Maria. We saw him give her that gun in episode 3. I don't think Diamond wants to be in that position at this moment in time. I think his sole focus is building his empire and getting closer to El Shay. So I don't think we're going to see Giana again. That probably will be the end of her story and journey on Force. Now, elsewhere again, we did go through characters like Stacey Marks, Ray Thompson, and also Maria earlier this week. So I am going to keep this one short, sweet, to the point to wrap up everything post episode 3. As usual, I'm sure if I've missed anything, you guys will definitely let me know in the comment section. And with that being said, the floor is now yours. Definitely drop me your thoughts down below in the comment section where you see the storyline heading for Claudia Flynn, the White Devil. Elise is definitely still on my death predictions list, and for Shanti Showstopper, I do think we're about to see her making her power moves. But will Tommy be able to see it coming with everything that he's dealing with? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.